Without warning, the horizon began to rotate. A towering wall cloud stretched across the South Dakota sky, while warm prairie winds rushed toward a storm that seemed almost alive. Experienced storm chasers knew they were watching something extraordinary unfold, but no one expected just how quickly the atmosphere would transform. Within minutes, a massive tornado descended from the Supercell, creating one of the most dramatic storm-chasing encounters of the 2025 severe weather season. It was June 28, 2025, near the small community of Gary in eastern South Dakota. Meteorologists had been tracking a powerful weather setup since early morning. Warm, moisture-rich air flowing north from the Gulf of Mexico collided with cooler, drier air descending from the northern plains. At the same time, strong winds at different levels of the atmosphere created intense wind shear, providing the perfect environment for rotating supercell thunderstorms to develop. By early afternoon, towering cumulonimbus clouds began exploding across the region. Doppler radar quickly identified one storm that stood apart from the others. It displayed persistent rotation, a strong inflow region, and a rapidly lowering cloud base. Forecast offices issued severe thunderstorm warnings before upgrading them to tornado warnings as radar signatures became increasingly dangerous. Storm chasers from across the Midwest converged on the area, carefully positioning themselves miles southeast of the developing circulation. Cameras, drones, weather instruments, and live radar feeds were all focused on the same storm. The atmosphere felt strangely calm beneath the darkening sky, but experienced chasers recognized that this quiet moment often comes just before violent tornado formation. As the supercell intensified, a large rotating wall cloud became clearly visible. Scud clouds raced toward the center of circulation, while inflow winds strengthened dramatically. Dust and loose vegetation began swirling across open fields, signaling that the storm was drawing enormous amounts of air into its rotating core. Then the first funnel appeared. At first it was only a narrow condensation funnel, extending downward from the cloud base. But within moments it rapidly widened as rotation intensified. The funnel connected with the ground, throwing dust and debris hundreds of feet into the air. What had started as a thin rope tornado quickly evolved into a broad, powerful cone stretching across the prairie. Storm chasers maintained what they believed was a safe distance, but the tornado continued growing. Its circulation expanded while multiple smaller vortices rotated around the main funnel. Every few seconds the shape changed, transforming from a cone into a massive wedge before narrowing again. The constantly evolving structure fascinated meteorologists while reminding everyone just how unpredictable tornadoes can be. Powerful inflow winds rocked chase vehicles parked along rural roads. Visibility changed almost instantly as rain curtains wrapped around portions of the tornado. Radio communications became increasingly urgent as radar operators reported strengthening low-level rotation. Several experienced chasers decided to reposition rather than risk being trapped by rapidly changing storm motion. Video recorded from only a few miles away captured an unforgettable sight. Lightning flashed behind the rotating funnel, while fields of corn bent almost flat beneath powerful inflow winds. The tornado dominated the landscape, appearing large enough to swallow entire farms even before reaching its greatest intensity. Fortunately, the tornado remained largely over open countryside during much of its life cycle, reducing the potential for catastrophic damage. Even so, everyone watching understood they were witnessing one of the most photogenic and powerful tornadoes of the 2025 season. But the storm was far from finished. As the tornado continued moving across eastern South Dakota, its appearance changed almost minute by minute. The once smooth cone widened into a massive wedge, then narrowed again as smaller vortices danced around its outer edge. Veteran storm chasers later described it as one of the most dynamic tornadoes they had ever witnessed. Every shift in shape was driven by changing inflow winds and fluctuations inside the rotating supercell, making the storm both spectacular and unpredictable. Radar operators monitored the circulation continuously as debris signatures appeared on Doppler radar, confirming that the tornado was lifting material high into the atmosphere. Chasers watching live radar knew they had to remain alert. A tornado can suddenly change direction, expand without warning, or become wrapped in heavy rain, hiding its exact location from anyone too close. Several chase teams pulled back to maintain a safer distance while continuing to document the storm. Although the tornado crossed mostly rural farmland, it still left a visible path of destruction. Large trees were snapped or uprooted, utility poles were damaged, and several farm buildings suffered heavy structural damage. Crops nearing harvest were flattened across wide sections of open fields. Fortunately, because the tornado avoided densely populated communities, there were no confirmed fatalities associated with this event. Emergency managers later credited timely warnings and the storm's rural path for preventing a far greater disaster. For storm chasers, however, the experience became unforgettable. One team recalled feeling their vehicles shake as powerful inflow winds intensified around them. Another described watching the tornado grow so large that it appeared to fill the entire windshield. They emphasized that even with years of experience, every tornado demands respect because no two storms behave exactly the same. Meteorologists later reviewed radar data, photographs, and dozens of videos captured from different locations. The footage provided valuable insight into tornado evolution, multiple vortex structure, and supercell behavior. Every new recording helps researchers improve forecasting models and better understand how violent tornadoes strengthen, weaken, and sometimes change direction with little warning. The Gary tornado also highlighted how much severe weather forecasting has improved. Modern Doppler radar, storm spotters, emergency alerts, and instant communication allow communities to receive warnings much earlier than in decades past. While technology cannot prevent tornadoes, it has dramatically increased the amount of time people have to seek shelter and prepare for rapidly changing conditions. If you ever receive a tornado warning, don't wait to see the storm with your own eyes. Move immediately to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows. Stay informed through trusted weather sources, keep an emergency kit ready, and remember that the safest place is always shelter, not the perfect camera angle. If you enjoy discovering the true stories behind America's most powerful storms, and the science that helps us understand them, subscribe to American Disaster Files and leave a like. In our next documentary, we'll explore another remarkable weather event that challenged forecasters and revealed just how extraordinary nature can become. The Gary, South Dakota tornado of June 28, 2025, may be remembered for its breathtaking beauty on camera, but those who stood beneath its rotating sky saw something far more important than incredible footage. They witnessed the raw power of the atmosphere, the value of preparation, and the thin line between awe and danger. Every tornado reminds us that nature never performs for an audience. It simply follows its own rules, and our greatest strength will always be the wisdom to respect them.